So there are a few things we wanted to solve when we were actually choosing our architecture.
Yeah.
So one is we want it to be scalable, as you've mentioned. We want it so that when we have a spike in demand of users, they
Yep.
can be able to still encode their ECIFs and ensure that they can properly get their COVID-19 test result.
Yeah.
And another requirement for our team was we needed a way to build fast. We needed a
Mm.
way for the team to push a lot of hot fixes, especially when there's an emergency.
Yeah.
And through this, we've actually been experimenting with a lot of different tech stacks before the course of being affiliated with the Philippine Red Cross. And we ended up selling with using React, Next.js, and
Yes.
GraphQL. So it's mostly a Node.js stack, but
Hmm.
with TypeScript as well. We want to incorporate TypeScript so that we can have safe type checking. But
Wow.
that's what we use for our development
Hmm.
for our development wise.
Hmm.
So that way, when we build things with GraphQL, we save up on bandwidth. We don't really use that much network allocations,
Yep.
and we also are able to use this. We modified it a bit. I've actually published a boilerplate online on the Dashboard
Wow.
Philippines GitHub page,
We'll put
and
that in the show notes if you want to check it out. And you're like, how did the hell? If you're a dev and you're like, how did these boys do it? Like, don't worry, we got you. We'll put the GitHub link on it. All right.
yeah, that's awesome. So we're able to basically use these different technologies and modularize them, if that's the correct terminology. And we've
Yes.
basically compartmentalized it into its own different components. So
Right.
that way, whenever we're adding a new component or whenever we're doing a hot fix, we're able to build things in a very functional way
Right.
with code that's very abstracted and it's easy to read and it's easy to manage. So
Correct.
that's pretty much it for the development side of things.
Hmm.
For the infrastructure side, we've actually used a lot of technologies for it. So one is Cloudflare. You may have heard of it. They're a big company,
Yep.
but what they allow us to do is they allow us to scale big and grow our network and
Hmm.
to build a content delivery network.
Hmm.
That way, someone who's visiting from China or the United States, they'll always have the fastest connection to our servers.
Hmm.
And we've used Google Cloud, Docker, and Kubernetes to build like the underlying infrastructure.
Hmm.
And using these technologies, we're able to containerize each of our different small microservices
Yes.
to increase security. And also with Kubernetes and Docker, it's pretty scalable. So
Correct.
I think the best way to describe Kubernetes and Docker is since our applications are containerized, say for example, if we're gonna have a lot of like people visiting from China because there's an inbound flight from China to the Philippines, or there's
Hmm.
like 5 inbound flights, for example,
Right.
um, we can easily scale up to that demand because Kubernetes has horizontal pod autoscalers and vertical pod autoscalers.
Yeah.
We can scale so that there's more instances per computer, or we can add even more resources down the
Hmm.
line.
That's
So
amazing.
with this infrastructure, we're able to build a platform that's enterprise grade and that's able to actually get gain the demand, like that's able to be accessible with like millions of people opening it at the same time.